So tonight we are going to make a Scratch Awl. I don't know how many of you have seen or looked at Cindy Drozda's website. She had some really nice Scratch Awls that she was selling, and I thought they looked kind of cool, so I figured I would make a version of it. So here it is. You got a lot of glare there. So this has got a stainless steel button on the top, which is a carriage bolt, and a brass flare nut for a ferrule, and then the actual tool, which is a piece of 7/32 01 drill rod, which I've sharpened to a nice point. I did not heat treat this yet, which I need to do, so this is not glued in, it's just loose. But you get the idea. So we'll go through the steps of making one of these. So I'm going to start by sharpening the actual tool itself. So we've got the upside down belt sander again, Mr. Piper's favorite thing.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Safety first.
Well, it's actually very safe. It's very stable because this particular table has a slot in it right there that the handle of the belt sander fits down in. So it's really not going to go anywhere. Okay. And, you know, if somebody and of course that's this belt sander because it's flat on the top. So it sits very nicely. If you wanted to do this and your belt sander won't sit properly and you don't have a slotted table, you can always take some wood and make a cradle for it and clamp it down. You know, there's several ways to do it. So it's not really unsafe, so to speak. So let me put on my dust mask. And what I've done is I've taken the drill rod and cut it to length. Stuff comes in 24-inch lengths. I got it up there at the wet tool, which I've sent a link out before, but I'll send another one. So I've cut this to length. And what I'm going to do is stick it in a drill like so to spin it on the belt sander. So as you can see, that puts a taper on it. I'm obviously not going to sit here for 10 minutes putting a taper on this. You all get the idea how to do it. If you don't have a belt sander, you could, and you have pin jaws on your chuck, on your lathe, you could put it in the chuck. And if you've got a angle grinder, you could use that with a flat wheel on it to or a sanding disc on it to do the same thing. You know, there's several ways to do it. If you really wanted to, you could do it on the bench grinder on your bench grinder, but it'd be kind of a pain in the neck. You know, if you had the Wolverine platform, you could do it with that with a drill motor. So there's several ways to sharpen it up, but I think the belt sander works probably about the easiest. So that being said, we'll go back over to the lathe and we will switch cameras. So I've got a block of Osage orange here that I've marked the center, and I've pre-whacked it with the spur drive so that I can put it on this spur drive that fits in the chuck. So gonna change centers.
Hey, Ralph, I know that the piece of wood could be whatever size you want, but what do you recommend starting with?
Yeah, depending on how big you want to make them. This particular piece is this one's 3 3/4 long, which is a little long, but we're going to trim it down some. You'll see. You kind of need to put 2 tenons, one on each end. So, and this one here, I'm kind of winging it because the first one I made today that I showed y'all kind of got off center and got a little wonky on me. So I'm going to try something a little different on this one. So 3.5 inches long, 3 3/4, 2.5 square. You know, obviously it's not precision cut; it's cut on the bandsaw, but that doesn't matter because we're just gonna make it round anyway. So, you know, depending on how big of a handle you want, you know, you can make them any size you want. You can make little bitty ones. You know, it's kind of an obsolete tool. You know, people use them for, you know, some guys use them for, you know, putting a center mark, but, you know, most people have a spring-loaded center punch to do that, which works better. So, but I just thought it was a cool thing to make. So. So we lock this up between centers. Bring up our tool rest. Check our clearance. And make it round. So I'm going to be using a spindle roughing gouge to round this out. And I'm turning it about 1600 RPM. Lock that up a little bit tighter. All right, no bounce, we're smooth. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my parting tool and square up the end. I'm going to make a tenon on one end at this point so I can grab it in the chuck and drill all the way through. Hopefully I can make the drill bit go straight. Okay. Clean this end up just a little bit.
Hey, Ralph,
Yes,
for what it's worth, this is a great shot, however you have the camera.
right overhead. That's that camera mount that my son got me. I'm working out pretty well. He lent me an extra camera. So as you can see, I've got 3 cameras available now tonight. So all right. So now I'm going to drill it. Slow my speed down. It's out of the way. So the drill rod material I'm using is 7/32 in diameter. So I'm going to run that through with a 15/64 drill bit to give it some clearance for the glue. Problem is, most of the drill bits are This one might make it through there. So, yeah, I think we can make it through with that. Otherwise, I've got a smaller drill that I ordered for another job, which is a 532 drill bit, and it's 6 inches long. Okay, so that'll go through there, no problem at all. Problem with some of these drill bits, as you can see, the flutes only go a couple inches. So once you get past those flutes, you got to really be careful and keep pulling it out to clear your chips, which you got to do with any of them anyway when you're drilling like this. So,
Ralph, we're getting a lot of feedback.
Feedback?
Noise, a lot of background noise. I don't know if anybody else hears it.
I hear it. Is that me?
Are you on mute?
Might you have one of the other mics open, Ralph?
I don't know. Let me see.
It's stopped now.
Okay. I think I can only run one mic at a time, Dave.
No, I think that's it. Looks like some of those that weren't muted are muted, so we're good.
Okay. So,
Sounded like a squid with COPD, I think, but it's gone.
I'm going to mount the drill bit in there all the way in to start with. And wants to walk. So let me get another tool in here to get a better starting point for this drill bit, because once they start walking, then that drill bit starts wiggling around and your hole goes crazy, especially depending on what kind of wood it is. All right, now we should have a good starting point.
I'll try. Eventually. Seriously.
Then you can use the Scratch Awl tool just for cleaning out these shavings out of the flutes. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick that drill bit and just barely grab it by the end. Hopefully we can get all the way through this piece of wood. Yes, I think we made it through. Yes, we're all the way through. Perfect. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is make sure that this thing runs true. I'm going to take it out of the chuck. And this is the issue I had with the other one. I just continued on from this point. And the first one I made, the hole was a little bit off center by the time it got to the other end. So everything was kind of wiggling around. So what I'm going to do is, yeah, actually, as you see, I don't know if you can see that, that hole didn't come out dead center. Okay. So what we need to do is we need to drive this on the actual hole and then recut our tenons, this tenon and the tenon that's going to go on the other end. So what I'll do is and here's something I found out a few weeks ago. You can take this bullnose cone from your one-way or Powermatic Live Center and just drop it right here in the chuck. Use it as a drive. And I'll put the other one on here on this Live Center. As you can see, that hole didn't come out centered. So you see how that thing's wobbling around side to side. So if I had continued on just using this tenon, everything would have been all screwed up. So what we'll do is make new tenons that'll be running true to the hole through the center. Okay. So we've got a tenon on each end. You'll see why we do that in a minute. Change chucks. Okay, so let's make that the top. Oh, mess that one up. Mess that tenon up a little bit. Let me clean that up. And we're going to spin it around because I think this, maybe we can keep this coloration and figure. I'm going to make this the top. So I need to spin it back around. Okay, so now what we got to do for that button on the end, okay, use a stainless steel carriage bolt, 3/8. 3/8 by 3/4. Okay. And so what we need to do is enlarge the hole, obviously, for that to go in there. So I'll first take a 3/8 drill bit. And go in about a little over 3/4. Again, slowing down because you don't want to drill too fast.
Whoa.
Question? Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a 1/2-inch bit and just touch it because this is a carriage bolt, which has a square section up at the top. That's what locks it in. What this is normally used for is bolting sheet metal together. And they have a square hole that locks in, so you have a flush finished head instead of having a regular bolt head or a screw head. So I wanted to get some brass ones, but they didn't have any. I don't even know if they make them.
Did you say, excuse me, did you say what the size of the second drill is? Drill bit?
3/8 and then half. So a 64th over your actual steel tool size. Okay, and there's no set rules on this. If you want to use a smaller diameter piece of material, you know, I just got 7/32 because I thought it sounded about right. You know, you could get a little bit smaller diameter, a little larger if you wanted. You know, just go a 64th over on your actual hole for the tool. And then you need a 3/8 bit for the 3/8 bolt. And then you need a 1/2 inch bit to accept the square shank on the head of under the head of the bolt. So what I'll do now is I like to use polyurethane, the Gorilla Glue, or you could use 5-minute epoxy. With the Gorilla Glue, it needs to be damp, so I just give it a little spritz of water, and hopefully I can get some of this glue to come out. It's getting kind of old. Just kind of smear that around on there. Don't drop it. Put it in. And then smack it up there with a mallet. I'm just using the tailstock to put pressure on it. Hold it in place for a minute or two. So that glue takes a while to cure, but you know, with what we're doing, it's not going to hurt it. You could, you know, use the 5-minute epoxy if you wanted. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this thing around. Why is that not running true? There we go. Make sure it's running true. Get rid of that little nub there. Get back to my live center with the cone on it. Always use your tailstock as much as you can for support, even though this is a short piece. You know, you're going to be taking a lot of material up in here, getting down to where we need to be to get this ferrule on here, which is, this is a 3/8 flare nut. You know, you can use other things. I'd rather, this one is a little bit big for the project, but it'll be all right. So I've got my caliper set a little big. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll take this one down with parting tool. Okay. See what happens. Probably going to be a little big, but we can always cut it down more. Yeah. So. Take that down just a hair. Perfect. So I'll make this a little longer so that, and tapered so that it extends up into the taper of the nut. You see that? So that it extends up into there. Okay, getting close.
Hey, Ralph, got a question.
Yes,
I know you're turning it with a crescent wrench. The inside of that thing is not threaded, is it?
yes, the nut is
Oh,
threaded.
it is. Okay.
It's a flare nut.
Oh, okay. So there are threads. That's why you're
Yeah, it's
cranking it on. Okay,
Blind
thanks.
flare nut. Some people call them gas nuts. May have to take a hair more. Okay, the hell was that?
Somebody was off mute.
No, that was my phone.
Okay. We got to take a little more material off of here to get the shape. That's why it wasn't going on all the way. It's not critical that this is a tight fit because it's going to get filled with glue anyway. More off of here. Okay, so now what we'll do is we're going to glue that on there. I got some thick CA, you know. I'm just using this because it's quicker. You know, either the Gorilla Glue or the 5-minute epoxy. Give it a little shot of accelerator. I don't know if it'll even get in there, but anyway. So now bring this tailstock back up. Start shaping our handle. I'm using a 1/2-inch spindle gouge. Which I grind mine back. And then I put a double, triple bevel on them to give me more clearance. And then you're going to watch me do run backs, maybe. Like that. Now I want to get close to my diameter of the nut or the ferrule. And then don't do that. Okay. So now what we're going to do is turn it around. And finish off the top. So what I'll do is I'll take the
Hey, Ralph,
Yes.
Is the flare nut also stainless or is it brass?
no, it's brass.
Okay,
It's brass. That's why I wanted to get a brass carriage bolt.
got it.
But when I went over to Mitchell's and asked John for a brass carriage bolt, he just laughed at me. He says, "What are you, nuts?" So
Do they make the flare nuts in stainless?
not that I'm aware of.
Mm.
I have some stainless, they're compression type nuts from a very high end line of special fittings for high pressure work, but the ones that I've got are either too big or too small. As far as the button in the back, there is an alternative, but it would have a screwdriver slot in it, but it would be brass. They're actually the bolts that hold the toilet tank to the toilet bowl, and they're a large headed brass bolt. But it has, like I said, it has a slot in it, and there's not enough material on it to machine that slot out and have a smooth finish. So now another one I'm going to do, I didn't have time. I just did this today. I'll show y'all in a little bit. Another one I want to make. So what I've done is I've taken the cone and you put it in the chuck to drive here. And then I'm going to bring up my live center that I've removed the center pin from and use that against the bolt. Okay. Put pressure on it so I can drive it. Now, what I did today, except that it didn't come out quite right, so I'm not going to use it. I got to find it. Here it is. You know, we had talked in previous demos about accessories you can make to screw on the end of the live center. Okay, like this one you all have seen for doing goblets and things with the rounded front. So I started to make one today with a cup end that would fit, but it got off center, and I didn't do a very good job making it. So I'm not going to use it because it really messed me up today earlier. So what I'll do is, and actually, if you look at this, it didn't really mark it too bad. That may just be because I've got wax on the rest of it, and it doesn't have wax where the live center was. or it may have, I can't really feel an indentation.
What
But-
about putting a piece of thin leather or something?
Well, that's what I'm going to do right now. If I can find it. I have some little pieces here somewhere, but these are the ones that I use. These are little leather washers that I use for when I'm making my spin tops. So we'll bring this up. Oop. A little slow down there. Of course, this is a little big, so it's going to be in the way of shaping. So let me trim it up. Yeah, if you ever see an old leather top desk in the dumpster, grab the leather off of it. That's where this came from. It's a little bit out, but that's okay because we can just, that's why if we leave this a little bit big, we can correct that. I don't know if you can see that it's running a hair out. That's snugged up good. And let's do this. All right, I'm gonna have to take these safety. Oh, I didn't even have them on. I'm gonna have to put reading glasses on to see what the hell I'm doing. Oh, that's much better. I'll leave an extra ridge on this one just for fun. Then we'll go to the back. And this is end grain. So you want to be cutting downhill. From larger to smaller diameter. Don't do that. Design opportunity. Yep. Now we got to sharpen the tool. We just hit that stainless steel bolt with the tip. So that actually clean this up here. I don't like that extra ridge. So we'll get rid of it. That looks pretty good. So screw rest out of the way. And if you've got good sharp tools and fairly decent tool control, you can probably start sanding at 220. Slow it down just a little bit. You know, if you wanted, you could put a couple of grooves in here and burn it with a wire. Burning on this surface here, we could probably get a burn with a wire. But when you're trying to burn something that's not a sort of flat surface, obviously you can't get the wire in there. So you want to put a burn in, you know, use your point tool or your vortex tool or your ultra thin parting tool and make a little groove. Get a piece of Formica, and you can use the edge of the Formica. Will burn it also. Hit that with a little 500. Put a little dab of Howard's on there, feeding wax. Get that color to come up. Burnish that in good. Speed it up. Just using a piece of green Scotch Brite to put that oil on. Let sit a minute. Touch with a paper towel. A little wax. I do not recommend buying this Varathane brand wax from Home Depot. I don't like it at all. It's too damn watery runny for me. The Minwax brand I think is much better, but Home Depot quit carrying Minwax, so you got to go to Lowe's now to get it. So we'll buff this up. You know, you could put, if you wanted to, you could put a poly finish on this. You could put shellac, you know, shine juice, anything you want. Could, you know, put it on the Beal buffing system and make it shine like a diamond, Gary. Okay, so all right, well, it did cut through. So I'm going to make it cut through a little bit. You can see the mark, but it really doesn't matter that much. You know, you could hit this with some sandpaper, or make a better one of these, which I'll do. And then of course you've got your handle with your ferrules glued, and just mix up some 5-minute epoxy, or to use the get all the shavings out so that this will seat up against the bolt. Okay, that's the whole purpose of this. What Cindy Drozda said is she puts a cap on hers so that if you want to use a mallet on it, you're hitting metal and not damaging the wood, because she makes these out of like pink ivory, coco bolo, and real expensive woods. And she also gets $90 a piece for this. So that's the demo for tonight. My other one I was going to do, which I'm going to make a couple of different ones, and what the plan was for the bolt, for the cap, the end cap, the metal end cap, And the ferrule was this would be personalized to me. So for the end cap, I was going to use the brass off of a shotgun shell, and for the ferrule, I was going to use a 45 casing. So I got to make some of those. We'll see them when we see them. So that concludes the demo for tonight.
Ralph, if you wanted to turn the brass ferrule, can you turn those nuts, those sides off?
Yeah. Yeah, if you wanted to, sure.
Okay.
You can turn the brass on there. You just have to sharpen your tools a little bit, but I mean, these tools that we're using are high-speed steel. They're the same material that they use on a metal lathe, for tool bits. So, obviously, the ones on the metal lathe are much, they're ground completely differently. So the edge is a lot stronger than the edges we use. And of course, it's held in an extremely rigid tool holder, which doesn't move, where we're holding it by hand. So, that's what makes it a little tough. But you can turn brass and aluminum without too much effort. Pewter, copper. I wouldn't attempt to do steel.
No.
But yeah, you can. I know some guys like to make the they like to make them round.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, if you could make it round.
Sure, you can do that. Some of the other things that I use, obviously, me being a plumber, I had access. You've seen, some of the stuff I use on ferrules for.
Couldn't it also use a file against it?
Yeah, you could, but you got to really be careful. You've seen me use these guys, these nuts. Those are faucet nuts for ferrules. And on some of my tools, on the back end, I use a copper plumbing cap, just a copper pipe cap. Sorby's got a button on the back of their tools, so I decided, well, I'll just put a pipe cap on the back of mine. That way the back end of the tool doesn't get all messed up. So, there's all kinds of stuff you can do. Let me try this one. Oh, sounds like a baby's being born.
No, just trying to get this stupid iPad.
So
That is pretty.
yeah, it's a piece of Osage. I'm going to make some out of the Vera wood.
Mm.
I've got some really nice looking Vera wood. Good, really nice color, nice grain. Actually, that's what this mallet is that I made many years ago. The lighting in here is terrible. I'm gonna have to do something about my lighting, I think. I don't know how well you can see that, but
Yeah, I saw it when you were using it.
yeah, make some out of crabwood.
Mhm.
Make some out of coco bolo. Put them on the display rack. Don't use them. So anybody got anything they want to show that they've been working on?
Yeah, I've got something here.
Okay.
It's a friend of mine. If you want to see what she's makes stained glass windows. I used to work with her. She's up in New Jersey, and she's got a kiln. And so what she did is she takes 2 squares of glass, and I don't know if this is not a square, but she takes 2 pieces of glass that are square, and she makes them look like a star. Okay, and then she puts it in her kiln, and then they look like this. She starts off with a 2-inch square, and after she calls it fast fire, and they come out round, fairly round, real rounder than pretty round. They're about almost 1/8 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch. So what I did with them is I sent her a couple, but I made some of my my down unders, bottle stoppers, with the glass she sent me.
The secret's out now, Dave.
Well, I thought about that, Ralph. And I've given the dimensions of how to make these at a workshop a long time ago.
You did.
And, like you say, everything is copied from somewhere.
Yep.
I'll be glad to send you the dimensions. Just the only thing I ask is don't call it down under. Come up with your own idea. And what these are, for those that aren't familiar with them, is the bottle stopper goes inside. The silicone stopper goes inside. So when you put this on a wine bottle, it goes into the door of the refrigerator easy because it's not sticking up higher than a normal bottle stopper. I mean, I'd rather have you, I'll give you the dimensions, show you how to do it, rather than borrow one during one of our shows and then I get it back a year later, but I'll be glad to.
And we're not going to mention any names.
No, we're not.
No, we're not.
But I mean, that happened too. One day, Kay was putting my stuff away, and we ended up with one of Jim Wheeler's bottle stoppers in our boxes, but I didn't wait a year to get it back to him. But anyway, so that's it. I'll be glad to share.
Wow. Actually, I saw one of those. One of the guys I know on Facebook up in Canada makes them also.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yep.
I think Steve's got something, but he's on mute.
What's that?
I think Steve has, there you go.
Yeah, I unmuted.
Talk to me. Where'd you go?
Right here.
Oh, okay. More busy work.
Yeah.
What is it?
Nice.
Tell us about it.
Well, it's 396 pieces. I used maple and cherry and walnut. Designed a vase, and this is what I got.
Are you using a computer program to cut?
Yeah. For something like this, yeah, it's too much math.
Okay.
So it makes it easier. For smaller pieces, I could do that. You can scratch it out pretty quick.
Right.
But for something like this, it's just easier for me to throw in some numbers and give it a shape, and then it does its thing.
Okay. The program does it. Gives you
It gives you the dimensions and
angles and dimensions and numbers.
well, the angles are easy because they don't change.
Okay.
This is 24 pieces around, so you're cutting 15 degrees.
Okay.
The feature ring is 12 around, so that's 30.
Nice. Thank you.
Kept me off the streets for a couple nights.
Yeah. Keep you busy for a night or two, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a little piece here. Is mahogany base, half round, and then I had made this wood sphere, but it was kind of ugly, so I dipped it in. It's called dry vit. It's like a texture that goes on masonry or concrete block walls, So anyway, I dipped it in that, and then I have acrylic paint make it look like a planet. I don't know if you can
Yeah,
see.
Yes.
cool.
So painted it, and that's it.
Correct.
I like
Science
it.
fiction.
Anybody else?
I have something.
Ozzy.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Well, I went over to Lee Sky's house to buy that little jet mini lathe that he had,
Right?
and he gifted me some black. This might not come out because it's kind of dark. Some black coral, and he's like, "You got to try making a pen with this." And what I did is I cast it in resin to try to kind of conserve as much as I could. And I did get some resin in the tip, but the rest of it was just black coral. It came out real nice. Kind of hard to see, I guess, in this light. Let me see if I get the camera out. There you go. That looks a little better.
Yeah. No, your pictures were much better.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll have better pictures for the instant gallery. But I've been working on that. Actually, just as Ralph's been working, I've been putting together these Sierra style pens. I have to do 14 of them. So they're all different types of resin. So I've done 8 tonight, or well, in the last 2 days. But that's all I got right now.
But you know, and that the black coral that Lee gets, he finds it on the shoreline up there in Broward.
Yeah. That's harvested. He says he harvested after the storm.
Yeah, he goes to the beach and finds it.
Yeah, he was telling me he fills up his car with it. So
Yeah,
definitely, it's something I'd like to try again when I get a little more.
That sounds like Lee. Yeah.
Yeah, he had lots of stuff to offer when I went, but that little lathe I got from him was very nice.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's all I got.
Thank you.
Very good.